Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Fly Nubian Media. If you could, I see that we have 5 participants on so far. If you can hear me, can you put a message in the chat and let me know if I'm coming in okay, if you can both hear and see me? Perfect. Thank you, Antoinette. Hi, Yolanda. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Excellent. And I see Yvonne is here. Excellent. Nita. See Bridget. Excellent. Hello. Oh, you can hear me, but you cannot see me. Okay. Can you check your Zoom camera and see if you have it activated? For the other participants who just joined, can you let me know if you can see and hear me? Hi, Beverly is here. My Hassan is here. Hello. Hello, I can see you, but okay. Perfect. Excellent. I think we actually are waiting for just one more attendee. Let me see. I'll give it one more minute and then we can get started. And also just to make sure that you are in the right place, this webinar is 7 steps. Excellent. Okay. All right, I think the gang's all here, so let's get started. Thank you for joining me. And as I mentioned, my name is Jessica Smith, and I am with Fly Nubian Media this evening. If you've not had an opportunity, please go over to flynubianbusiness.com. That's flynubianbusiness.com. You can get this recording along with some other recordings on business and for women, which is excellent. So let's get started. All right, so 7 steps to starting a business. I'm assuming that many of you are here. Do you already have a business set up? Can you give me a little bit of feedback? Do any of you already have a business set up? Or are you just in the starting stages? Can you add that to the chat so that I can kind of know who's here and know what it is that you're looking to get out of the webinar? So if you already have a business, can you let me know? Or if you're in the beginning stages of starting the business? Okay, no. I've had a business, I have an EIN, I do need to get started again. Yep, yes, I have a business, excellent. Okay, I just started a real estate investment business. Okay, excellent. All right, and okay, perfect. All right, well, then what I'll do for this evening, we have quite a few people that have already started their business, and then we'll kind of touch on some things that I think will be important for those who have started the business but may need a refresher. It is important when you have started your business that you reevaluate at some point, kind of take stock of where you are and where you're going. So, blowing the dust off your business plan, or if you haven't even started one, it may be good to take a look and kind of start from the beginning, just to make sure you're pacing on track. So we'll touch on that tonight. So one of the first of the 7 steps, the first step of the 7 steps, is to evaluate yourself. Many people start a business, but they don't do the research as to whether or not they are ready or equipped to start a business. So step 1 is evaluate yourself. Now, mind you, if you're driving in your car, or if you're driving in your car, or if you're listening on your phone, maybe you're somewhere visiting, I will send you these notes. So if you want to plop your email addresses in the chat for me, then I'll be happy to also send you the notes. So don't worry about, it's good if you take notes because it will help you commit these things to memory. But if you're not able to, I'll be more than happy to send the notes to you. When I'm speaking about evaluating yourself, what I mean is, what skills do you have? If you know that you want to start a business, but you kind of don't have an idea on what that business is, but maybe you just feel like, corporate is not for you or not for you anymore, and you think you want to do something different, take an inventory of what your skill set is. Talk to family and friends and kind of see that they can give you feedback on what you do well, so you can kind of gather your strengths and your weaknesses. Where do your passions lie? What things are important to you? Do you have causes that are important to you? Where is your area of expertise? So do you have the gift of gab? Are you a great speaker? Are you great with organization? Are you a great manager? Those types of things you have to take an inventory. How much can you afford to spend on this business that is actually one of the most important things. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an accountant, but because it's important to know what you can do from the beginning. How much capital will you need to get the business started? What sort of lifestyle do you want to live? This is key. Many times we start a business and don't really realize what we plan to get out of it. Some of us start businesses believing that it's going to give us more freedom, it's going to give us more time, but really starting your own business is hard work, and sometimes it can be a 24/7 thing. If you're doing it part-time, but you have to structure it the way that you want it structured. So that's going to be very important when you are starting your business, to make sure that it aligns with what your other goals for your life are. If you think that you want to spend more time with a loved one, whether it be your children or a spouse or a significant other, if that's the case and you want to quit your job so that you can spend more, start this business so that you'll have more free time, then you're going to have to ensure that you build that into your business. If you take your self-inventory and you know that there's certain things that, you may have to do more research, or maybe certain things just don't come easily to you, then you're going to have to put a little bit more time in your business in the beginning. And it's important to know that going in. And also making sure, as I said, that it aligns with other things that are important to you. So in step 1, again, is evaluating yourself, your skills, the lifestyle that you're trying to lead, where your strengths as well as your weaknesses. Because the other thing is, it's important to identify your weaknesses so that you can see where you may need to fix certain things. Depending on what business you've chosen, if something requires a lot of detail and you're just not detail oriented, or if there's something that you want to do, but you may not have the skill to a certain level right now, then you'll just have to work on that. But it's important to know, in addition to what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. Next step number 2 is to do research. So step number 2, do your research. All right. So in doing your research on your business, you have to know what type of business you're going to start, what type of business, where your business is coming from. Is it stemming from a need to cure a problem? So is there a problem out there? Maybe it's homelessness, maybe it's caring for the elderly, maybe it's fixing the environment. So is your business stemming from a problem that you're going to fix? Is your business stemming from a product that you may not see out in the market right now that there may be a need for? Or maybe there's a product that or service that you can do better than what you're seeing out there. So that's another thing. Who is it for? Who is your target market? Who is your business for? Are there other companies out there doing it better than, are there other companies out there that you feel that you can do it better than? Because again, they often say there's nothing new under the sun. There's someone, unless you have a new age piece of technology or something that you're creating that's never been done, then if there's a market out there already and someone's already doing it, then you just have to make sure that you're doing it either in a new way or a better way. Great place to start a business. What's the competition like? Again, can you do it in a new way or a better way? How will your business fit into the market? So will it be an addition to the market? Are you adding to something that's already there? One of the things that grew out of, for example, social media was that selfie stick. And the person who created the selfie stick is making millions. Or is it something that you may stumble into? I don't know if you know the story of 3M and with Post-it notes, but they were actually trying to make a glue that sticked permanently, and they found something that you could actually peel off and put back on. So that's the other thing. In doing your research and in trial and error with whatever product or service you're planning on offering, if it's a product, in some instances, your failures actually may be to your benefit. So it's great to continue to try, but also in doing your research and collecting your information, make sure that, is this something you can use before you scrap your complete idea? In getting research, you have to use different tools. Don't just use online tools. While Google is your friend and it's great, tons of information on the net, but also find some books, talk to people, do surveys. There's so many different modes of research, different tools for you to gain your research. And so as you get ready to build your business, also see who's doing it, who is doing what you want to do successfully. That's a great place to start. So in doing your research, make sure that you're not just relying on one source. You have to get information from a lot of sources in order to make sure that you have all the information that you need to get started. In getting feedback from people, get feedback from other people other than just friends and family. If you have a product and you're going to test your market, my son has a clothing line, and one of the rules to starting the business that I insisted on is that we not sell to family and friends first. When you sell to your family and friends, and when you start a business, whether it's a product or a service, it kind of skews your success rate, or it skews your start, if you will, because of course initially all your friends and family are going to buy something, and all those sales are great and that's fun, but that's not your real market. So you don't want to get confused in that, oh, we had this many sales and all these people, because once you use up your friends and family, what does the rest of your market kind of look like? So it's not a bad thing, but and it's natural too that when you do start something, your friends and family are going to want to come on board and help out, and they're gonna want to snap up your product or whatever your service is. And if that does happen, I guess what I'm saying is just kind of remove them from, don't count them in your test sample, because they're not your realistic test sample. You know, they're doing it out of love, and they may do it because you just have an amazing product. But again, you want to use a market that's clean, that you know, that there may not be any bias. Also ask the right questions in doing your research. It's important that you ask a lot of questions. You can probably online, depending on what service you're offering or what product you're offering, tons of questions you can find online, so that as you go through the process of getting those questions answered, there'll be a lot more information that may unfold, a lot more information that you can gain from asking the right questions. Also, look for patterns and look for new information. As you look for patterns and as you look for new information, that will also help you to build a better product or to build a better service. Also, listen critically. But I say listen with open ears. Oftentimes you may get negative feedback. And while you want your product to be amazing or your service to be amazing, sometimes that negative feedback can help you grow. And so it's very important that, you know, and you can't, you know, certain people are naysayers. Some people going to nitpick, of course, but listen with a critical ear so that you say, you know what, maybe they are right. We can fix that, or we can build upon that. So it's important to always listen with a critical ear for your feedback. So step number 2, do your research. The nuggets from that are: 1, use multiple sources when compiling your research. 2, if you're going to use a test sample or do a product launch, do not count your friends and family, just so that you can get a real true gauge on how your business is doing and what your sales are like. And also listen with a critical ear. So that's step 2. We have a few more, but is there any questions so far on anything that I've touched on? Does anybody have any questions so far? Oh, perfect. I see I've got 1 or 2 emails. Yes, I will definitely send my information over. And forgive me, guys, because you know what? I was so eager and excited to start this webinar. And I guess I assumed also that Dr. Boyce would have said something, but I didn't do any introduction or anything. I was just like, let me get you ladies this information. So let me back up. I apologize. And just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Jessica Smith. I do hail from Chicago, Illinois. I have an accounting practice and accounting and tax. I have been in the business for a very long time, almost close to 30 years. I started a tax practice when I was 19 years old, started my first business while I was still in college. That was my side job while I was in school. And I also started as an accounting clerk when I was 19, also still in school, and I decided that I wanted to be an accountant. And I was lucky enough to get a great mentor who took me under his wing and gave me a job, and I did that and then started my tax practice during the tax season. So I've always had a couple of jobs and worked really hard. I worked for a couple Fortune 500s, worked for Clear Channel, I've worked for ABC. My last, I guess, corporate job, I was interim director for Fox Television, director of finance. And I've also had the pleasure of working with a venture capital firm. And now we do accounting, tax, CFO services, and also financial coaching. Yep, so that's me. I apologize because like I said, in haste, I'm excited to get started. I'm like, it's 8 o'clock, let's go. So anybody else have any questions? No questions? Okay, so then I'm going to now move on to the next topic. So number 3, create a business plan. You must create a business plan. I cannot stress this enough. You must go through the process of creating a business plan. It is so vital that you go through the different steps of creating this business plan, because out of it is going to flow so much information. It is going to help you know what you do know and help you know what you don't know. It is also going to help you be able to communicate to others what it is you're doing, why it is that you're doing it. And you cannot skip this process. A lot of people just start their businesses. I got a name, especially if it's an online business. Most people go, I got a name. I'm going to set up my website, my PayPal account, or whatever, Stripe, or whatever you're going to use, Shopify, whatever you're going to use to start your business. Do not skip the process of setting up your business plan. This also is vital and critical if you're going to go and get any kind of funding. You're going to also need to condense this business plan into an elevator pitch as you meet people and want to talk to them about your business. When people say, tell me a little bit about your business, if you've not gone through the process of even creating your plan or designing what your business is going to look like, it's going to be difficult for you to properly communicate to them exactly the what and the why. Every business, for marketing purposes, for funding purposes, is also going to have a story. And out of you weaving through this business plan, your story is going to unfold. So it's very important that you not skip this process. There are several places online that you can go to get outlines on how to create a business plan, from the most detailed business plans to one-pagers. But whichever your preference, you need to definitely create a business plan. You can also go to services and have people create business plans. And depending on what your business is, there may already be some business plans online, some templates that you can use and kind of tweak and just fill in the blanks. And so let me put the step here, create a business plan. Okay. So what types of things are in a business plan? You have your executive summary. This is basically a high level of what your business is going to entail. The company description, again, whether your business is solving a problem, what that solution is and or why, or whether your business is creating something new, whether your business is putting a twist on something old. Regardless, the summary is going to tell them the what and the why. The business description is the kind of business you have, when the business started, where your business is located, the industry that you're in, what you kind of have going on for the future. Your market strategy, who are you marketing to? So who's your target audience? Some demographics about them, where do they live? What do they do? How much do they make? These are things that you're going to have to know as you go through your research and do your target marketing. Competitive analysis. Who out there is doing what you're already doing? What is the size of the pool of people doing the business? Is it a multi-billion-dollar business? It is $1 million business? Is it something brand new under the sun and you're creating the lane? What does that look like? The design and the development plan. So are you doing Is it a new procedure? I had a client that was working on a tool that they use during surgery that would note, but that would let the doctor know whether or not they were going to cut tissue, if they were cutting in the blood vessels. And the premise behind it was that it was going to cut down on a lot of the blood during the surgery and cut down on the time that it took, and also give them better eyes as they were going through surgery, something that has never been done before. So they had a lot of design, product and development, and R&D took almost 5-6 years on the product to create the product. So that's something else. When you have some idea about what you're creating, especially if you're creating something from scratch, especially if it's technology, you have no idea really how long it's going to take. So as you do your business plan, and you can kind of set some forecasts, if you do have a product or service that's going to take some time for momentum to build, some time for you to be able to get to the launch, you're going to want to know that, and you're going to want to communicate that to any investors that you have, so that, you know, the expectation is there, and also so that as you're pacing, you don't get discouraged either. So it's important for you to do that piece of the market research so that you know how long it's going to take or what it's going to take. And then there's the financial factors. Where's the money coming from? When is the money coming in? What sort of financial projections do you have? What's the budget going to look like to even get your business off the ground? And I suggest that you do all of these steps. You notice we have not incorporated. We have not gotten an EIN. We have not done any of those things yet, because we are just on assessing ourselves, researching our idea or our product or our service, and then now we are coming up with the plan, which then leads us to the fourth step, which is forming the entity. So we've done a couple of things before we even get to the business formation or the entity. Business formation. Now, isn't business formation and entity the same thing? Yes and no. So you can say form your entity as well, but what I mean, and the reason why there's some redundancy there, is that I'm saying that you're going to take this time to figure out what entity you're going to choose, whether it's an LLC, whether it's a C Corp, S Corp, partnership, or if you're going to be a sole proprietor. But then you are going to form that business. From there, you are going to come up with the business name, going to come up with your register your business, your tax ID, if you need any state IDs, if you're going to have payroll, and you have to come up with your unemployment and register with your Department of Employment Services, if you have licenses or permits, setting up a bank account, trademark, copyright, patents, those sorts of things. One second. Okay, I'm just checking to make sure nobody has any questions. So, okay, you said I'm going to be a sole proprietor. Okay, excellent. And so, let me touch on that since you shared that. If you are going to be a sole proprietor, and many times when we start a business, we dive right in and pick an entity. I'm going to be an LLC, or we like the name. We like to have ink behind our name because we think it sounds more professional. Truth be told, if you're starting a business and you don't have the financial resources to start that business, then it's important for you to first get started. Some businesses may not really require you to be incorporated. You should consult with either your accountant or your attorney, whoever your person is, to decide whether or not you need to be incorporated. If you're providing a business or service like an esthetician or a beautician, where there's things where you may, for example, if you're dealing with hot irons or things that could possibly harm the public. You know, you don't want to drop an iron on somebody, or something where you have to have some liability coverage. Perhaps you do events. You know, you don't want someone to slip and fall and have other things. In that instance, then you may want to incorporate. That also could just be covered with some type of insurance. But either way, it's important for you to know. But if you're starting a business and there's not a lot of risk involved and there's not a lot of liability involved, then you may not need to be incorporated. You may be able to get started first and then identify what entity you have once you get going. Okay, this is where I'm stuck. I was sure which way to go, LLC. Okay, in deciding which entity you're going to choose, you will want to consult with a professional, or you can also go and kind of do your research online. You can see that there are different types of entities and what those entities entail. There's limitations to certain entities. So for example, if you start an LLC versus an S Corp, one requires that you only have a certain number of members. The other one, you can have unlimited members. So it's going to depend on what your goals are for your entity. If you're going to have partners, then you may want to be an LLC and have a partnership LLC. So you're going to have to decide, or a single member LLC. You need to have a conversation though with a professional to decide which one best fits what you're trying to do and where you are. For some, it also may come down to a price. I have a lot of people in the state of Illinois that would rather incorporate than to become a LLC or a partnership because there's a larger cost differential. It used to be $500 and then $600 if you want to expedite, because it's $100 expedite, but expediting fee. So $600 as opposed to $175 to incorporate made the difference. And now I think they've lowered the prices some, and then in some states the price is the same. So it just depends on your state agency and what what you're able to do starting out in the business. And again, if you don't have any money at all, then you may, again, once you have that conversation, discover that you don't need to be incorporated at all, which will be helpful. LLC stands for a limited liability corporation. So I was asked please say what an LLC stands for. It stands for a limited liability company, actually. Limited liability company. You are very welcome. Okay, so to recap, we have made it through step 4. So 1, evaluate yourself. 2, do your research. 3, create a business plan. And 4, form your entity and create your business. Number 5, very important step, develop your product or service. It is important that you develop your product or your service, which means that you take the time to create whatever it is that you are going to offer, and that you know what it's going to take to offer that. Many of us want to kind of just slap the awning up and don't really put some flesh and some meat on the bones, if you will, of the business. Some of us want to start with a skeleton and think that this is the business, but you want to spend as much time as you spent creating or deciding what the business is, then you want to also create and develop what your product or service is. In doing so, you may want to find out who your ideal client is. It goes back to you asking who your target market is. When you're doing your market research and you're finding out who your target market is. I'm marketing to women age 25 to 54, or from suburbia, and what does that really look like? And again, out of that you can answer so many other questions. what's my ideal client like? Well, they make this much a year. They have these certain things in common. You know, and also, I'm sorry, when you decide who your ideal client is, then that also helps you provide better services. When you just open and also we often don't want to define a client because we think that that will shut us out. But sometimes when you have a niche and when you can decide who your target market is, helps you provide much better products and much better services. So, and creating a niche, if you're able to do that, especially if you're able to create a niche that other people are not servicing well or that they haven't even thought of, will set you apart from a lot of the business. It's a lot easier for people to say, hey, you know, I'm looking for a person that handles X and I want a person that handles Y. That may create and set you apart, which may allow you to make a whole lot more money, as opposed to just kind of widening the net and taking in anything that comes your way. All money is not always good money. So you will want to make sure that you know who your product and service is and that you're creating a niche. Let me create step 5. Develop your product or service. Okay. Whatever that is, also developing your product or service will help you to identify what your needs are. Setting up how you go about your business goes back to what I was saying about your quality of life and creating the life that you want to live and making sure that your business fits in with that. Same thing in developing a product or a service. If you develop it properly on the front end and put all your things in place, then it can run smoothly and you won't have to worry about whether or not something's not going right or whether or not you didn't communicate something to someone who's working within your business or service, because you will already have an outline of what that product looks like and what that service looks like and what it looks like to deliver it to your community, deliver it to your niche if you have one. Okay. Is there any questions about 1 through 5 so far? Any questions? No? Okay. Oh, let's see. Yes. Can I explain a DBA? Sure, I can. A DBA means that you're doing business as. Several states, when you start your business, will require that you do an assumed name. And what that means is that you're adopting the name of your business. If you don't incorporate your business and you choose to remain a sole proprietor, it's important that you get an assumed name so that you're able to still conduct your business under that name. And a DBA is doing business as. So maybe your company, so for example, the company is Fly Nubian Media, doing business as Fly Nubian Queen or Fly Nubian Business. So you may be Smith Bakery, but you're doing business under Little Cupcakes Inc. or whatever business name you assume. So you can have the name of your business or the name of your company does not necessarily have to be the name that you're running your business under. So when you do a DBA or an assumed name, it's assuming the name for which you're going to do your business under does not have to be the name that you've incorporated or that you've organized your business as. Any other questions? How can you retain your business name without incorporating? Again, you have an assumed name registration, and so you would go and register that name under the business, and you'd have to pay a fee for that. And so that way, when you get ready, if you do decide to incorporate, then no one can use your name because the state recognizes that you are doing business under that name. Also, if you wanted to get a business license, many states require you to even have a business license, even if you're operating out of your home. So if you're operating out of your home, or if you actually have a business location, but you haven't yet incorporated, having an assumed name will also allow you to do business under that name. You are welcome. Okay, let's see. Step number 6, create your business infrastructure. So step 6, create your business infrastructure. Okay. All right. What do I mean by create your business infrastructure? This is where you're gonna again put more bone, more muscle tissue and meat on that skeleton. It is very, very important for you to also have, now you've developed your product and service, but then how is the company going to run? What does that look like? This is where you decide, are you going to have employees? If you are, what does that employee handbook look like? What are the rules and regulations of your company? This is where you develop your accounting systems. How do you pay your bills? Maybe we cut checks every Friday. Maybe you have a structure in place that you make up your mind that you only are going to spend $10,000 a week, or you pay bills every other week. And or your payroll, for example, is going to be on, you're going to pay your employees on Fridays, or you're going to pay your employees every other week, or you're going to pay your employees once a month. If you're having products, we decide that if it's a popular product, that when we get down to 10, we reorder. If we get down to 5, we reorder. If we find that we have a product that's not selling at all, the rules that we choose is that if it's not selling, first we decide to discount it at 25%. If it's not selling after a week, 2 weeks, we discount it to 50%, but 50% is our threshold. We may decide, nope, if the product's not selling, but we want to get it off the shelves, we'll do 75, or maybe we'll bundle it with something else and do a giveaway. This is where you make decisions about how your business is going to be run in each area of your business. Sales, how much money are we going to put on our sales? What does that sales look like? Are we going to hire an outside salesperson? Are we going to hire a company? Are we doing independent contractors? Are we doing employees? What works best for us? So this is where you're going to determine how your business runs, what it looks like. Are you going to get outside companies to come in and audit you? Is that even a requirement? So again, you're going to put nuts and bolts, meat and flesh, I guess, on the bones of your business. Are there any questions about setting up an infrastructure? And keep in mind, guys, we'll have plenty of opportunity too for me to answer questions about your business. If you have specific questions, I just wanted to make sure that as we go through these topics, that I'm covering what you need. All right, and then the last step, 7, is building your team. One of the most critical steps. And I can tell you, build your team. Okay. Last step is build your team. What does that look like? Where do you need a team? Can you afford a team? And so it's important to map this step out in different areas. As I mentioned before, are you hiring a salesperson? Do you need a receptionist? Do you need a personal assistant? Do you need a baker? Do you need a nail tech? Do you need an advisor? Do you need a coach? What type of assistance do you need to be able to create the best business and offer the best product and service to your audience? So building your team is paramount. When I first started my business, because it was me and I was doing taxes and I was young and I was by myself, and I didn't really even think at the time or fathom needing to hire a team or have more people. And I found myself in my business just working like crazy all hours of the day and night. It felt like I could never get anything done. And I, for a long time, just thought, oh, this is what being an entrepreneur looks like. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then one day someone was like, well, you never have time to do anything. You're always up day and night. Why don't you hire someone? And it was like the light went off, like, tick, tick, tick. Hire somebody. How much would I pay that person? What does it look like? You know, and I, again, me going, having to do the research, it changed my life. I had no idea that I had no idea what I was missing out on. I had no idea that me making changes, making that slight little tweak to my business could just, one, have it take off, and two, allow me the freedom to be more creative and to be able to do all of the other steps that I'm talking about. We often, when we start our business, we really need to kind of hang on to every dime that we have. But if we work into the business, starting out of the gate, that we're at least going to hire someone to assist us to execute whatever product or service we're offering, you don't even know how much money you can bring in adding an additional person. And again, giving you the freedom to be able to create and to come up with other products and services, or to be able to even start another business, because that's what happened for me. Once I added other people into my business to help me, I was able to then come up with other things and become more creative and to launch and start new businesses. And, you know, it just changed my life. So, you know, don't think as an entrepreneur. This goes back also to number one, which is a self-assessment. If you know you're a control freak, if you know you have some issues, because I was in the beginning, it was very difficult, because guess what? No one's going to do it as good as I do it. No one's going to understand, you know, what it takes, what needs to be done. But guess what? They will if you go to step 6, which is creating your business infrastructure. If you create your steps and get all of your policies, procedures, product development, if you put all those things in place, then that person has a roadmap. It's your roadmap. You created it. And so all you have to do is give it to that person, and they are you. They're duplicating you and the way you want things done. But the other thing is this: bringing in another person allows fresh eyes. When I brought in someone else, I brought in someone who is one person that was an Excel expert. I thought that I was an Excel expert. Listen, I didn't know anything about Excel. I was doing a report that took me 3 to 4 hours. This person did that same report in an hour. And now I won't even tell you the time that it takes them to do this one same report that I thought. And I was using all my Excel tools, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And I actually was embarrassed when they were like, oh, you mean you want me to do this? And they, you know, did whatever they did and spit it back to me. And at first I was like, oh my God, what have I been doing? But at the same time, I was like, yep, you do that, and thanks a lot. And so when you think about the time that it takes me and how much I charge people an hour to do what I do, and it took 3 or 4 hours of my time, now I gave it to someone else who actually makes less than me and who did it in a shorter amount of time. Frees me up to go out and make more money and do the things I need to do with my time. And I'm also spending a lot less money to create the same result. So it's things like that that until you open yourself up, And until you really are able to assess your need and bring someone in, you have no idea how it's going to change your life. So you have to be open to that and get that assistance and get that help. So now I'm going to open this up to you guys to ask me whatever questions you would like. Again, please go to flynubianbusiness.com. You can send questions there. Also, as I mentioned, I will add some notes to this. I know I just gave you kind of these bullet points, but I'll create some notes. I do have some notes that I would be more than happy to share under each one of these topics. So if you put your email address in and share that with me, then I can come back and give this information to you. And as I said, if you have any further questions, or if there's another topic that you want me to do a webinar on, as it relates to business or accounting or tax, I would be more than happy to come back on. So you guys just let me know when. Also, you can also let me know what night works best for you. We tried to do tonight because we wanted to get something done before Christmas, before the holiday, and also before the year end. So if you make sure that you let us know what you wanted, what topics you want, and we'll be more than happy to come back and provide that for you on flynubianbusiness.com. So what questions do you guys have about your business specifically? Okay, let's see. Thank you for sharing your email. Thank you so much. Any questions as it relates to your business or the topic? Was this helpful, guys, at all? And for those of you that already have your business, maybe was this a little bit helpful to kind of give you a refresher and have you go back? What entity do you think a private tutoring business should use? It's very helpful. Okay, again, for private tutoring, you could be a sole proprietor for now. I don't know how many students you have or how large you are, or whether or not you plan on doing an expansion, bringing on employees, but if it's just you tutoring, at this point, I don't know that you would have to incorporate. Let's see. You said someone would like to have the bullet points. Absolutely. Again, I'll definitely send them out. And we covered that. Let's see what we have. In the future, can you discuss the changes to the tax laws in business? Yeah, absolutely, because there's a lot of them. I would make the suggestion to you that if you do already have a business and you normally prepare your own taxes, unless your business is just super straightforward, I probably would seek a professional this tax season because there's a lot of changes, both not only to business, but even to personal taxes. I normally go to a webinar. I mean, not a webinar. I normally go to a seminar every single year. I've been doing so for a number of years to get a refresher. And I'm finding that I'm actually going more than once this year so that I can really get the changes under my belt. We normally do that. Most tax professionals do that up until, December, and then they start the season in January. But I'm going to one in January just to make sure that by year end, all of the changes and all of the rules and regulations are in because, it's just so many changes. But we will come back and have a tax one for sure. Let's see. We have, I don't want to skip anything. I'm glad it was a great refresher. Points 1 through 4 are in the chat up here. If you take a look, we had let's see, steps 1 was to evaluate yourself. Number 2 is to do your research. Number 3 is to create a business plan. Number 4 is business formation and entity formation. Number 5 was to develop your product and service. Number 6 was to create your business infrastructure. And number 7 was to build your team. And let's see. I remind you of the things that you don't want to do, like a business plan. I know, but it's so critical. And that's why I said, if you don't want to create your own, then go to Fiverr, go to Upwork and hire someone to do it. But you must, that's a step that you do not want to miss. You just can't miss out on it. Because let me tell you something that's interesting. I had a client of mine who thought that they wanted to start a cellular store. They wanted to open like one of the Bruce Mobiles or one of those. So I went and created a business plan and created the budget. That's another thing. You cannot skip that piece. You've got to be able to have some idea of what it's going to cost you at least 18 months to 2 years out. You have to know. If you can do 3 to 5 year forecasts, I really would suggest that. And what's interesting is they were all gung-ho, ready to go. We contacted one of the franchises that they were interested in to get all the nuts and bolts from them. And so from that, I created the business plan and created their budget for it. And when they realized what a financial commitment it was going to take, they decided not to do it. So, but again, initially they wanted, hey, put this down payment, send this down payment over here and get me this, you know, whatever the phone franchise, I'm ready to go. And I suggested, well, I know this all sounds great. I know you have certain money available now, but let me put this plan together. Let me figure out what this budget's going to be. Let's have some conversation. And then once they saw, now it'd have been terrible had they started and just plopped that 10, 15, 20,000 down and started the thing. And then as the months went on, they realized what the commitment was going to be to restock the store, to put employees. They didn't think about any of that. Payroll taxes, supplies. They didn't think about any of that. Buying the marketing and the awnings and the infrastructure, paying the rent, how much it was going to cost for electricity, because we actually went to the location and found out how much, you know, the previous tenants paid for electricity and whether or not there was water. Certain cities pay for water, and depending on what you're doing, especially like if it's a hair salon or things like that where you're running water. So once we got all of the bills and things that they were going to have to, inspections from the fire marshal and this person, and if there was a build out involved, he was like, no, I'm not doing it. This is way too much. And I didn't even think it was going to be this. The only thing he anticipated on was the $15,000 franchise fee in the beginning. And once he realized what commitment, the initial commitment, which went from 15,000 to almost 50,000 just to even get it off the ground, he was like, no, I don't want to do this. So it's important for you to do that business plan piece. Let's see. I jumped way ahead of my business planning process. And that's a dear friend who's my business partner. After future research, my friend is not a good business partner. Yep, suitable to be employee. We have already filed the business name, but now I regret doing it. How do I change my business to sole ownership? So here's the thing. If you just started it though this year and you guys have not done anything, if you have not put any skin in the game, if this person has not really provided any assistance, then you can dissolve the business. You can have a conversation and see if it's okay with that person to take their name off the business. But yeah, let me say this too, that is key. When starting this business, you have to make up your mind. We often want to bring people in and make them a partner and get excited. And then we find out that they're really not a good partner, because what is that person going, what's their offering? Just because someone's your friend or just because they're nice, or here's the other thing, are you the best partner? Because are you bringing someone on and they're doing all the work and you're not doing anything? You also have to make sure that you're aware of what commitment is involved. Are you providing the cash and they're providing the nuts and bolts of the service to get it off the ground? And then what does that look like going forward? So coming up with that goes back to your legal piece. Get that partnership agreement done. Get clear on what you're going to do to get into business together, and be clear and lay out in that partnership agreement what it's going to take to get out of that business with one another. Have your exit strategy all mapped out so that you're very clear about what it is that you want to do. Be very clear about your tax treatments. You know, what's the responsibility? Are you guys going to have the business? Are you going to do tax withdrawals at the end of the year so that you cover the portion of the tax that needs to be paid on the business? Or is that going to be personal responsibility? So a lot of little nuances that you're going to have to cover. And again, like I said, you may want to seek an attorney and or an accountant, you know, and even talk to an accountant who specializes in entrepreneurship and who specializes in business, so that you can have those questions answered. There's a lot of us accountants that actually do business formation and entity planning as well. So you may not necessarily need an attorney just yet. And then you can have the attorney draw up the business plans and the agreements. But as far as forming the business, you may be able to find an accountant who can do that for you. Let's see. Would you suggest tapping into 401k to fund a small business startup? I would suggest that you first find out how much it's going to cost to start your business. I would then suggest that you determine where you are in your retirement. If you are about to retire, and you speak with your financial advisor about what the plan is, you need to find out, can you afford to pull that 50 grand out or whatever it is to start that business? And you have to be able to have a plan to fund that back in, so that when you are ready to retire, you do have that money in your retirement. You don't want to retire still owing that money back to the business. Again, that goes back to figuring out what your financial plan is, where you're going to get your money from. Are you going to have angel investors? Is it going to be sales? Are you just straight bootstrapping? Are you getting money from friends and family? And let me tell you this too, people. When you start a business and you start with friends and family and they give you money, make sure that it's a give. Make sure that if it's not a give, that they have terms and that you're really clear on how you're going to pay people back. Make sure you're clear on if the business fails, because I've seen a lot of businesses fail and the people can't pay the money back, and they have some family members that are really angry about the fact that they can't get their money back. So be clear about, which goes back to me saying, have a business plan, because if you don't have a plan and don't know how you're even going to get the business off the ground and have some idea about what your business trajectory is and when you will be able to start paying people back, you know, and you're going to need that information getting a loan too. When will you be able to pay me my money back, and at what rate will you be able to pay it back? And you will have no idea what that even looks like until you kind of map out a plan and do your research about how long it took other people to start their businesses and kind of what things they ran into, which is why I suggest that you find a mentor and that you find someone who can help you, who's already done it and who's already done it successfully. Note that I said successfully. Don't find somebody else that has a business and they're still trudging and plugging along and still trying to figure it out as well. That's not what you need. You need someone who's doing it successfully, who's making money, who's living the life that you may want to live or resemble a life that you may want to live, because they can tell you all of the pitfalls. They can help you to avoid making certain mistakes. You may make mistakes along the way anyway, and some you may need to learn from. But if you can have somebody who can help you avoid some of those pitfalls so that you don't make the same mistakes and give you the tools to navigate those waters much smoother, you know, all the better for it. So make sure that in this process, you also try to find a mentor. There's tons of books out there. I have a colleague of mine who's an attorney, and one of the things we were talking about as we are starting the new year and revamping our business, there's tons of accounting books out there, there's tons of legal books out there, there's marketing strategy books. There's just so much information out there, and so I suggest you read and refresh. And like even for me, I do continuing education all the time. All the time I'm on some webinar, all the time I'm on some, I think probably this year alone, I've done at least 20 different webinars, probably more than that, to be honest, because for one time I feel like I was on a webinar a week for almost 3 months straight, which would have been 12 right there. So I'm always trying to find out new ways to do things, easier ways to do things, new technologies that are out there. So make sure that you're also staying abreast in your industry. Get industry publications, you know, so that you know kind of what's going on in your industry. And there's so many different tools that they offer to help you to be able to do your job to the best of your ability. And let me say this, this goes back to building your team. If you know something is not your area, leave it alone. Don't try to figure it out. I mean, if you can't afford it and you have to figure it out, fine. But if there's a way for you to do it and pay somebody else who can do it better, let those people do what they were skilled and blessed and given the talent to do. Don't try to do everything. Don't put on every single hat, especially a hat that you know you have no business putting on. That's not what true entrepreneurs, the best business minds are the business minds who can hire people to do what it is they can't or don't do well. Let's see what we have. Do I need to come up with a new business name to file? You may need, if this is, yeah, this is back on the same thing. If you have a person who, again, they don't want you to, they don't want you now to kick them out of that business and you already have incorporated with them on it, then you may have to come up with a new business name, yes. Oh, the second one is Upwork. So what Fiverr has a lot of entrepreneurs on there for like one-offs, quick things. Upwork, you can find people that actually may be able to work with you and become staff and team. And you know, I usually go to Fiverr if I need a quick job done, whether it's graphics or video. You can get anything done on Fiverr. And there may be some people that are on both Fiverr and Upwork, but Upwork I usually utilize for more long-term services that I need. But you can find anybody who can do anything, anywhere. It's really great. And it's called Upwork. Let's see. Why won't this let me move it? I'm trying to move down to the next message. There we go. Okay. I worked for H&R Block for 16 years, and I ventured out on my own. My business is an office in my home. I spend about $100 for the year. I reached a business, but did not create a business plan. I only have about 20 clients. I pay for everything out of pocket. Do you have any suggestions? I missed the first part of the webinar. So you worked for H&R Block, you now ventured out on your own and you're spending money and you did not do, well, I mean, I would still put together a business plan, because here's the thing, you kind of did what I did when I first got started. But the thing is, what's your goal for your business? Is this something that you plan on doing and you don't want to grow and become, you know, a large firm? Are you only doing this for the tax season? Is your goal to only get maybe 50 clients and you do those 50 clients for the year and you're done? Based on your model that you've created, are you going to, how much are you going to charge? And is that going to be enough to be able to create the lifestyle that you want and to be able to pay for all of your household needs and wants? So that's something that you're going to have to determine. And in doing a business plan, that'll help you decide that. If you decide that you actually want to move out of your home and that you eventually want to move into an office and become a firm, then again, creating a business plan and being clear about what it is you want from your business will help you to develop into what you need, and also help you know what direction you need to go in. As we're doing planning, hopefully you guys are planning. I am really big on designing the life that I want to live, and designing each area of my life, and making sure that each area of my life is beneficial to the next. Because as I mentioned, some of you said you came in late, so you may have missed. If you become an entrepreneur and you're working 14 hours out of the day, but you're married and your goal is to have a healthy, thriving, loving relationship where you spend quality time together, if you have to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, there's no way that that's happening. So you have to be clear and lay out what each area of your life is and what you want out of your life to determine what you're able to give in each area, and so that you're able to determine. Because, for example, if you're starting a business, you may need to have a conversation with your family. When I studied, when I decided I want to be an accountant, before you take the CPA exam, they have a section on there where they ask you, or they tell you, talk to your family and friends and tell them you're going to be MIA for the next 3 months because you're going to be studying, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. Same thing with a business. Depending on the type of business that you start, if you want that business to be successful, you're going to have to put some time in. So maybe you need to tell your family, I'm going to be, especially if you're starting the business, if you work a full-time job and you're starting a part-time business, maybe your thing is every night when you get home, Monday through Friday, I'm working on my business for 2-3 hours a night till midnight or whatever that looks like. You know, I eat dinner with my family, and then from 8 to midnight, I put those 4 hours in, and I get up and go to work. And then the weekend belongs to my family. Or if you're single, you can say, hey, I'm going all in, and I'm going to just do whatever it takes every day, every night, 7 days a week till I get my end result. But let me also say that you don't want to risk burnout, and you're going to have to take very good care of yourselves. As women, we often think we're superwoman, and we forfeit ourselves and our bodies and our minds and our lives. Even to do this webinar today, I knew that I was going to come on with you guys. It's at 8 o'clock at night. I knew that I may go to 9:30. So I knew, well, what else do I want to do before the night? So I made sure that I ate dinner before. Sundays are my nights where I love on myself. So I'm like, okay, I'm set to take my bath when I get off. I'm going to do my facial and whatever my nighttime rituals are. And I normally do certain things before that, but I knew I was doing this webinar. So what do I need to do in order to be able to do the other things that I need to fortify myself before I close out the night, right? Because normally I do my rituals between 9 and 10, and then in bed, I'm in bed at 10 because I'm up at 5. I knew I was cutting into 9, so I had to do some other things kind of on the front end, get some of those things done that I normally do in my nightly rituals, like laying out my outfit, looking at my schedule. So I've done that already. So when I hang up with you ladies, I'm going to go and enjoy a bath and then go get my calm and prepare myself for waking up and starting fresh tomorrow at 5 a.m. So just things like that you're going to have to just make that decision and be ready to, you know, make sure that you're taking care of yourself in the process. And let's see, if I decide that I want to provide tutoring, childcare, home care support, and escorting children from point A to point B, which is the greater liability risk? What entity would you suggest? I'll say this again, I'm refraining from telling you exactly what entity to pick because I would need some more information. I can't just say you need to be this, because I also don't know, do you have employees that work for you? What are your, do you pay salary? Do you have independent contractors? Are you the only person dealing with these children? So in doing that, I would say I would not be an entrepreneur I would not be a sole proprietor dealing with children. I just would not. I would have some type of liability protection. I would either look into being a limited liability or a S Corp, but I would not deal with children and not have any type of liability protection. You're also going to want to make sure that you have certain insurance in place, and very good insurance in place when dealing with little ones. Let's see, which is, I mean, again, when dealing with children, especially with transporting children, you're saying which one is the greater risk? Obviously, the least amount of risk is tutoring. You also need to decide where you're tutoring. Are you tutoring in your home? And so, yeah, this goes to other people. So if you're conducting business out of your home, I would suggest that you go to your state or your city and see what their qualifications are. Many of them will require you to have a business license, especially depending on what business service you're doing out of your home. If people are coming to your home, I would definitely have some type of insurance there, especially if you live in city and state where there's, like here in Chicago, there's lots of snow, there's ice in the winter. If somebody slips and falls coming into your house, and you know, wild people may be your friends and they may be your family. I actually had a neighbor of mine, believe it or not, whose daughter slipped and fell at her house, and her daughter sued the mother to get the insurance. You just never know. So if you're doing things out of your home, I definitely would have some insurance. I definitely would have a business license. If you're doing things like, if your tutoring is online, then you might not need that liability insurance. But I still would have it. But anything you do with kids is very risky. There's not anything that again, tutoring is probably the least risky, but I would have liability insurance for all of that. Definitely. If there are no other questions, ladies, we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes, all of which I have enjoyed my time. I am super excited. I have a class coming up that's going to be teaching about retirement. It's called Worry-Free Retirement, which is going to be in the Black Business School. And I also want you guys to, again, make sure you go on Fly Newbie in Business. Let us know what types of things you would like to hear about. And then I will provide my information. Again, my name is Jessica Smith, and I can be reached at, this is my firm's email address. And on social media, I also have a page where I give financial advice on wealthy women worldwide. And again, you can also reach out to Fly Nubian Business. .com. And so, as I mentioned, I have a class, I believe it's starting January 3rd in the Black Business School, called Worry-Free Retirement. I'm super excited about this class. It's my first class in the Black Business School. And then I will be coming on and talking about more business topics. We will be covering some tax topics. Like I said, I probably will bring the tax back after my webinar, because I want to go and make sure I have I have obviously some nuggets and jewels now, but I want to make sure that I have everything on point when I come back and share some information. We'll probably do a course for business and something individual. And then, as I mentioned, if you stay tuned, go and join my page, Wealthy Women Worldwide, where we're going to start talking about a lot of different topics there as well. And also look on Fly Nubian Media, flynubianbusiness.com. I want to thank each and every one of you. If you did not share your email already, please make sure that you email me any questions you have, or if you didn't, put it here in the chat if you want to share it. If you don't want to share with everybody, I understand. Some people put it kind of in this Q&A section, Or again, if you're so inclined, please email me at my email address. I will share the notes from this webinar. And then I'll also let you know, we'll let you know what future webinars we have coming up. And again, as I mentioned, if you have any topics, also if there's certain sections, because sometimes, there's information that we can just keep going on and on. So, it's a lot to cover. So if there's some things that you may want us to deep dive in, maybe we've given you a more high level and you want some more detail, even request that. We'd be more than happy to accommodate and to share more information. So thank you all so much for joining tonight. Let's see, I had one more question. Sorry, it says, next time I would ask, what do you suggest is the best way to keep track of income earned from your business as well as expenses? Oh, that I can give that nugget now. It's important. So I definitely would recommend that you get some type of accounting software. There's some free ones out there, but keep in mind you get what you pay for. There's Xero, there's Bench is one that's a paid bookkeeping service. There's QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks has so many variations. They have online, they have enterprise. The one thing that I personally like about QuickBooks is that there's something for every level that you're at. And then as you grow, you can convert. And as you grow, you can convert and convert. And they have all the way up to QuickBooks Enterprise, which is for larger firms, before you kind of branch out into some of the, the larger systems that are used by Fortune 500s. But one thing, QuickBooks has a very easy one that you use for self-employed, and it's literally a swipe left or right thing. So you can hook up your bank account and you can swipe, I don't know which one is left or which one's right, but if it's a business charge, swipe one way, and if it's personal, you swipe another way. And then as you swipe all of your business charges, it will create financials for you that you can also share with an accountant. You can give your accountant access or your tax preparer access at the end of the year, and they can also go in and kind of tell you, well, okay, yeah, this was categorized correctly, or no, it wasn't. But it's that simple. You connect your business account. That is if you have a personal account. One bit of information that I also share with you is I suggest if you have started a business that you set up a separate business bank account. You do not want to use the same account for business that you use for personal. So, if you can, and if you need to pay yourself, don't say, well, I'll just use my business account, that's my salary. No, I would prefer that you transfer whatever payments you're going to take it out of the business and put it into your personal, and then pay all your personal bills from there. So yeah, but again, use QuickBooks Online. They have so many variations and so many levels that you can use. They even have a payroll service that integrates, which is great. So, and then if you also check with, if you have a tax preparer, if you have an accountant, check with them. Like our firm, we're pro advisors, so we get a discount. So before you log on to QuickBooks and decide that you want to get that service, check and see. Sometimes they offer some discounts online, but your preparer or your accountant may be able to get you deeper discounts. So check with them and see. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your holiday season with your family and your friends. And again, please check us out on flynewbianbusiness.com. Again, I'm Jessica Smith, and thank you so much for being here. Have a good night.